I know much more about my maternal grandparents than my paternal grandparents. They are from a very little town called Fubini. It's a small farming town. It sits on a ridge, surrounded on all sides by farms. I am, by heritage, Piedmontese, and very proud of that. They settled very quickly in South Glastonbury, Connecticut, where I grew up. For their wedding present, my grandfather gave my mother and father a piece of land. My father was trained as a carpenter, became a home builder, small scale, always on the job, not running a big business, and built the house that I grew up in. I think the reason that I'm an architect is I watched my father. I worked with my father. I think I saw what he saw, which was the satisfaction of building things.
And he and Howard Elkers formed their firm. I met David. We've been fast friends ever since. What makes him very good is that David listens. And he's not bigger than the project. We all use David because of his talent, but also because he leaves his ego at the door.
In a profession with such big egos, David is uniquely a collaborator. He looks at things through a human-centric lens. He's constantly reminding us that we're building these buildings for people.
The thing about David that we all love is he's just an incredible people person. It comes through in all of his work. The product is amazing, but the product is a product of the relationships that come before it. And that's what David builds. He's a relationship builder, and it might come out in bricks and mortar and glass and steel, but at the heart of it is people. I think he's had the mustache since he was like 6 months old. He might have come out with that mustache on. Wasn't quite as gray, but I think it was every bit as thick.
David and I have a very strong friendship. But one of the things that gets in the way of that friendship from time to time is his loyalty to the New York Yankees.
My paternal grandparents, first they moved to New York, to the Bronx. And my father was born in the Bronx, and which explains why my father was a Yankees fan.
Recently, I watched The Comeback on Netflix, and it's a 3-episode series. And I told David that you can probably watch the first one. You don't want to watch the last 2 episodes.
I have a little bit uncommon life circumstance where my partner in life, Elizabeth Lowry, is also my partner in architecture and design. It's very special, and it's not always easy because you don't always agree about design. It's been a great marriage. It's been a great partnership. Every project, it's an important opportunity to do something that will last, that will be durable. But also, every project is a means to make more connections. And the more connections we make, we bring people together, and maybe that has some real impact on how people live.
David, felice tazione amico mio. Congratulations, my friend.
Congratulations, and all the best.
As an Italian-American, I know that's a really important part of your heritage and your personality, and we love you for it. And thank you for all your great work. Congratulations on this incredible award.
Please welcome to the stage David Manfredi.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank the Italian Consulate in Boston and the Italian Foreign Ministry for what is truly an exceptional recognition of the work that we have done over many years. I'm honored to share this evening with Karen Polito, Joe Campanelli, Dr. Joseph Loscalzo, and I'm humbled to represent Italian creativity in architecture and the arts. This week, we have celebrated Italian creativity ranging from music, cinema, theater, design, research, and innovation. All of these passions represent man's greatest ambitions and most selfless search for meaning. Let me spend a moment on my Italian heritage. My 4 grandparents immigrated to the United States through Ellis Island at the turn of the 20th century. 2 years ago, I traveled at Christmas with my wife and 3 daughters to Fubini, a small town west of Milan. Fubini is the place of birthplace of my maternal grandparents. It is today, much as it was 100 years ago, a small farming hill town, then today of 1,600 people. We visited the church where my grandparents were married, and discovered a small obelisk in the town square engraved with the family name, Ferrando. All 4 of my grandparents came to the United States with a few suitcases, seeking opportunity. They found their way separately to Glastonbury, Connecticut, worked in all sorts of jobs to save money, and they purchased land to develop their own farms and to build families. I grew up next door to my maternal grandparents on a farm, and my life as a child was a mix of Italian culture and traditions and the American world of rural Connecticut. My mother was first a homemaker and the fire in the hearth of the home. My father was trained as a carpenter and built houses. I'm an architect because I watched him build. I worked with him summers in high school and college. I learned about hard work and no excuses, and I learned about craft. I watched at the end of each day as he looked back at what his crew had accomplished that day. I studied literature and architecture at the University of Notre Dame. At Notre Dame, every third-year architecture student spends that 3rd year in Rome. It is a year of study, hand sketching, touring, and living in the midst of centuries of architectural history. Classical, Byzantine, Gothic, Baroque, Rococo, Neoclassical, even industrial and modern. No other nation in the world can boast of the great painters and sculptors. Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, Donatello, Bernini, Caravaggio, architects, Brunelleschi, Bramante, Palladio, the writers, Dante, Petrarch, Boccaccio, and the great composers, Vivaldi, the Scarlattis, and Puccini. The work of these extraordinary people surrounds you every day in Rome. Creativity has often been described as a spontaneous genius, but seldom, if ever, is great design in any of the arts spontaneous. Creation was famously described by Le Corbusier, the revolutionary 20th century Swiss architect, as a patient search. I believe that the quality of our lives is greatly influenced by the quality of the places that we build. That the value of all things lies in their purpose, in what Corbusier called the generating seed. We have had the great fortune to work on impactful projects over the last 36 years. Like 1001 Boylston Street, the new buildings that span the Mass Pike at Mass Ave. I hope you've seen them as you come into the city. While we were able to shape memorable buildings that represent a new gateway into Boston, we also repaired the scar in the public realm that the Pike created in the 50s. We reconnected the Back Bay and the Fenway. We reconnected the Green Line trains and the buses. We redesigned the dangerous on-ramp at Newbury Street and added a new public park space. I believe these are the generating seeds of architecture.
They bring people together and they build community. The relationship of architecture, science, and innovation has always been of great interest to me. And that's why I'm so happy that they were celebrated together in Boston this week. In recent years, my firm has designed research buildings and innovation campuses at MIT and the University of Virginia and MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. In a very small way, these buildings and campuses support the incredible advances in life science that Dr. Lascalvo talked about. They're changing our world, and they will change our children's lives by making research environments that bring people together, that foster the collision of ideas, that accelerate discovery. The path of discovery in science and the arts is similar. Corbusier was right. It is the patient search. At our best, architects make places that have identity, that represent continuity with the past and aspirations for the future, that are inclusive, diverse, and social, that provide environmental stewardship for a damaged earth, and that connect places and people that build community. I want to congratulate everybody who is responsible for putting together this remarkable week, a week of learning, listening, and discovery. I am very proud of my Italian heritage, personal and cultural. Its great history of creativity, and I'm proud to be an Italian American. Thank you very much.